Right, here's how I plan to make over $2 million trading this year using a strategy which has an 83% win rate. So far for the year, we're up $367,000, and we're going to break down this trade I took over here on BDRX where I made $19,000. Let's get to it. And this is the win rate for the strategy in March. Now for March, it was 83%, and this is it for April. Now April, we've only traded for 2 days, so it's 100%, but obviously throughout the month it's going to go a bit lower. Now let's look at the actual strategy in detail. Now this is the same strategy that I talk about on my channel because it's so effective. We're going to be using one chart pattern, and that's it. I like to keep things stupid simple on this channel. I don't like to use fancy words. We're going to be using the chart pattern, which is goated. It's called the bull flag, and this is exactly what the bull flag looks like. It's a continuation pattern, which means we're not guessing which stocks are going up. We just wait for stocks to go up and then we buy them. That's the entire idea of the bull flag, and it looks exactly like this. Basically, we want to wait for a stock to go up. We wait for it to dip a little bit. When it dips, we want to see that it's starting to go back up, and then as soon as it starts going back up, that's where we want to place our entry, and then hopefully it just keeps squeezing up and up and up, and then we sell for some profit. That's the entire idea. Now, where do we specifically buy on this pattern? We want to be buying on this candle over here as soon as we get the first candle to make a new high. So you can see over here, it starts going up, it starts dipping, and this green candle is the first one to make a new high. It beats the high of the previous red candle, which is right about over here. So we want to be pressing the buy button when it breaks the high somewhere around about over here. Squeezes up, squeezes up, squeezes up, and we make a lot of money. This is the pattern that's going to take me to $2 million this year. So this is the pattern. Let's go through step by step. I'll show you an example so you can understand in more detail. So let's say we have a stock going up, right? It's very important that it needs to be going up. We're not going to be trading in like sideways market. We need the stock to be going up, make a dip, and then go up. So this, for example, is a stock that's starting to make its move up. It went above this orange line over here, which is VWAP. VWAP is one of the only indicators that I use. I really don't use that many indicators, but we can see that it made its way up past VWAP. So now I'm interested, right? Let's go through, see what happens. It keeps going higher and it keeps going higher. So it's met our criteria, which was I needed to be going up. The next thing we need to wait for, like I said, is that little dip we're talking about. So let's see what happens, right? Boom, we got that dip. This is perfect. Now we just need to wait for the next candle to make a new high. As soon as it makes a new high, we want to be spamming the buy button to enter into the setup. We can see that it's finding support on the 9 EMA, which is this little light blue line. Perfect. It's above VWAP, little dip. Let's see what happens. And right over there is where we enter. As soon as it breaks the high, that's when I want to be entering. And that's exactly where I enter. It then starts squeezing up and up and up. This is perfect. Now, when do I sell? I don't want to sell randomly. I don't want to sell whenever I want. I need to always sell when I see some resistance. This is key, guys. You have to remember this, because the main part of the strategy is stretching your winners for as long as humanly possible. That's the main part. And you can only stretch your winners if you purposefully sell your positions. If you're selling your positions because you're nervous or you haven't had a win in a while, so you're just quickly selling, this is literally not going to work. You need to be selling only once you see some resistance. So you can see over here, I start seeing some pretty clear resistance. I mean, dips are happening. There's a bit of a topping tail over here. I end up selling the stock right over there. That's the entire idea. This is a very good example of a bull flag with a real example. So let's go through today's trade that I took. So I took a trade on BDRX, right? I made 19K, and this was the chart of the trade. So you can see it's a very, very similar pattern. We can see the stock's going up. We have a little dip over here. I wait for the first 1 minute candle to make a new high, which it does right over here. I enter, it squeezes up and up and up, and end up selling over here. Like, this is, like, I don't even know what else to tell you guys. This is the only strategy I'm going to be trading, and it's just one simple chart pattern. It cannot be more simpler than this. You don't need a PhD and all these other things. So before we move on, I have a free trading course. This breaks down the strategy in even more detail. You learn how to set up your scanner. There's entry stuff, there's exit stuff. There's another example over there. It's very useful for beginners. So click the first link in the description to go check it out. Again, it's completely for free. Let's keep moving. So the first step is to find the stock that we're going to be trading. I always trade a different stock every single day. And the reason I do this is very simple. Most of you guys trade one stock or maybe two or three stocks every single day. The reason that's kind of bad is because if a sector is doing bad, that stock is going to be doing bad. If the tech sector, let's say you're trading Nvidia and Apple and Meta, if the tech sector does bad for a quarter and it just starts to dive bomb and dive bomb, dive bomb, your trades are going to suffer as well because you're trading that sector. And you can't just automatically switch to a completely different sector because you don't know how that sector trades. And that's the main reason I don't trade options, whatever. And let's be honest, options are pretty fucking risky, right? I like to just trade with my own cash. So I like to be trading normal stocks, different ones every single day. And the reason I trade different ones is because every single day there's a different stock that's the best. And so I want to be trading only the best stock every single day. I don't want to trade yesterday's best stock or the previous 3 months' best stock. I want to be trading today's best stock. And that's exactly what I trade. Now, how do I find the stock in the first place? Right over here, you can see the gap scanner. This is the gap scanner that's literally built in to TradingView. It's completely free. You don't even need to pay for this or anything. You can find the built-in TradingView scanner for free, and you can set it up like this. We want to be seeing the stocks that are gapping up before market opens. So set up your scanner like this. You can see all the different stocks that are gapping. It changes every single day. And on the left, we have all the tickers over here. Now, the reason that these stocks are going up most of the time is because there's some sort of news event that's happened, right? So this is an example of a headline. So we have this UGRO stock, right, which rockets 60% following Cricket Media Rights acquisition. It doesn't matter why the stock is going up. As long as there's news, it gives you more confidence. You don't need to have news before you take a setup, but it does give you more confidence. And this is the exact reason why these stocks go up. And every single day, there's new headlines coming out. There's like 20, 30, 50 headlines every day coming out, which makes these stocks gap up instantly. And so that's the reason we trade different stocks every single day. Now, the second thing we have to do, once we have this massive list, is we just want to wait for the chart pattern. That's it. Remember the bull flag I was talking about, this one over here? We just want to wait for it. So let's look at this setup that I took. This was the BDRX trade where I made 19K. Let's take a look at it, right? So we can see it opened, is doing nice. It finds support on this orange line, which I told you guys was VWAP. It starts bouncing right back up. This is amazing stuff. Let's wait, let's play it along, and let's see what happens. It then surges even higher. This is amazing, right? So this part of the bull flag, where I said that it has to go up before it dips, we checked that box. All we need to do now is we need to wait for a dip, and we need to wait for the first 1 minute candle to make a new high, and that's when we're going to be entering. So let's play this and let's see what happens. Next, boom, it goes down, it dips. This is perfect. And I also want to, there's different levels to this stuff. And as a beginner, you shouldn't focus on 50 different things, but the more advanced you get, the more things you start looking at, the better you're going to be. For example, this is what I see. The first thing I see is that it's getting near VWAP again. This is very good. If let's say that VWAP is over here and the stock starts going up and up and up and up and it dips, like this is okay, but VWAP is all the way down here. So we don't have a lot of support. So if the setup fails, the next support is VWAP, which is all the way down here. So it's just going to dump all the way down. We don't really want that. But because VWAP is very close, that gives me a lot more confidence. Another thing you see is notice the volume on this. This is one of my favorite things to look at. Notice how low the volume is compared to this area over here. When the stock was pumping and making its move up, we had a lot of volume. This tells you people are very interested in buying the stock. There's a lot of support. People are very interested. But as soon as the stock starts to sell off a little bit, the volume dies down. This means people are not interested to sell their shares. They want to keep holding. And so this is, you see all these different catalysts start to like help us make an informed decision on whether we should buy or sell. Let's play this forward and see what happens. Boom. You see that? You see how similar these patterns look? Guys, this pattern happens almost every single day. Every single week it happens at least once. This is why I love it so much. So again, I wait for this green candle over here to break the previous one's high. As soon as it does, I take an entry and I just keep holding and holding and holding. You can see it breaks the high of day level over here and it keeps surging higher. This is amazing. and I keep holding. Let's see what happens next. Boom. A little bit of a dip, but I continue to hold. Now, one of the things that you'll realize once you start trading the strategy is that the more experience you have, the better you're going to know when to buy or when to sell. So for me, for example, I see the stock dip all the way down and mentally I'm still like, let me continue holding. But that's only because I've experienced this so much and I've traded this strategy so much. So I continue holding and it squeezes up again. Breaks the high of day that we formed again. This is perfect. So now we have a higher high, higher low setup. Let's keep moving forward. And over here is where I decide to sell. We can see there's a bunch of resistance. The selling volume is pretty high as well. I'm like, you know what? Let me just lock in my profits. And like I said, this trade made me 19K. Again, my results aren't typical. I've been trading this strategy for years. You guys need to obviously practice and get better. Don't expect this from day one, obviously, right? But this should just show you that trading such a simple strategy can make you a lot of money. You don't need all this complex, prop firm and all these complex strategies. There's no need for that. Look how simple this is. So step 3 is obviously to sell the stock. I mean, if you haven't already guessed, I'm only going to be selling once the resistance. I do not want to be selling whenever I feel like it or none of this stuff. So for this specific setup, what made me want to sell? Well, there's a couple of different things, right? The first thing, like we already mentioned, was the volume. You can see the selling volume is higher than the buying volume. What does this tell us? Well, it obviously tells us more people are selling than buying. This is obviously not great. It signals resistance, so maybe I do want to sell. Now, if you look at this little dip over here, what do you notice about this big dip over here? Look at the volume. It's lower. So we have a massive dip, but on low volume. Whereas here we have like a tiny dip, but on massive volume. You see what I mean? It's telling you stuff. This is not stuff that you'll understand just by looking at the chart. You need to like trade this for a while, and then you start picking up on these little things. And the second reason why I was like, let's sell the stock, is because of half dollar, whole dollar resistance. So basically, there's some specific price points where people will want to sell. I know this sounds crazy, but it's super true. Now, what are these price points? I can't just give you a list, right? Well, I sort of can give you a list. Any number which sounds very significant, 99% of the time, people will want to sell their shares at that price point. So imagine you have a stock, right? Let's say this is the line for, excuse the writing, but let's say this is $1, right? And the stock is like right over here. If the stock hits $1, do you think people will start buying or do you think people will start selling? People will obviously start selling. And so what you'll notice is the stock will start to find a lot of resistance at that $1. Maybe it never makes it above $1. Maybe it just dumps down. Now, for you, if you're holding the stock, let's say you buy the stock over here. If you're holding the stock and it goes up to $1, you should sell the stock. Because mentally you know, oh shit, $1 is super close. I know there's going to be resistance. Let me sell my shares. And so any number which is kind of significant is going to have a lot of people that are selling. So $1 is obviously a huge resistance point. We have $1.50, we have $2, right? If it's less than $1, then you have 50 cents, you have 75 cents, etc., right? For this specific stock, I entered at $1.10. And so naturally the next resistance will be maybe $1.25, maybe $1.30. $1.50 for sure. But before $1.50, maybe $1.30, $1.25. And so $1.30 was where it started to find a little bit of resistance, and so that's when I sold, right? This price point thing I'm telling you about is very saucy. Like you won't find people talking about this, but it's super effective. And step 4 is to review the trade that you took. I know all of you guys are going to be skipping past this, but genuinely hear me out. I think the reason that a majority of traders are failing is because they don't analyze their trades. They just take random trades and they just go on to the next day like really mad that they lost money. Like you guys need to treat this seriously, like a business, right? Let's say you have a business. Would you randomly spend money on dumb shit? Of course you wouldn't. You would meticulously plan every single penny that the business spends money on. Like have the same mindset for your trading. Don't just randomly take trades. Imagine you're a business and imagine you're meticulously planning what to put money into and what to not put money into. And then every time you put money into something, analyze it. And this doesn't need to be some complex tracker. Like nowadays, I have some big Excel spreadsheet, whatever. You don't need that. It can literally be as simple as like a notebook where you just write the date, you write the ticker, and you just write a few words. Like, hey, today I entered this stock. I made 20 bucks. I could have done this better. I could have done this better. I'm going to improve this tomorrow. And then the next day you write, okay, today I took this. I did this. I want to improve on this. I'm telling you, if you just start journaling for the next 2 weeks, you're going to make so much more progress than you have for the past 3 months. I guarantee it. Because you're telling your brain, like, okay, I need to do this better. I can't afford to do this. Next time I'll try this. And that's going to make you so much more profitable. So me personally, every single time I take a trade, even at this level, I always make a video. I literally make a video and I'm like, okay, I entered over here, I sold over here, I could have sold higher, I could have bought earlier, I could have done this. It doesn't matter if it's a win or a loss. This was a win. But even when I take losses, I make a video. And I say, okay, I shouldn't have taken the trade because I should have seen this, I should have seen this. Like, just do some form of analysis after your trade and you're going to make so much progress. Now, if you guys want to start making consistent wins trading, this community is the best place to do it. You can see people are making wins almost every single day trading the strategy that I just showed you. You can see Nick made 500 bucks, Dev made 70 bucks, Oliver made 500 bucks. Everyone's just making wins trading the strategy. It's very simple. When you join the community, you also get a watch list. So every single day, today market was closed, so obviously we're not trading, but every single day, I tell the community what stocks to focus on. So I do all the analysis, and then when I do the analysis, I post it every single day. When you join the community, you also get access to all of my live trades. So you can literally see where I enter and exit every single time, whether it's a win or a loss, it doesn't matter. I always make a review so you can see what my trades look like. This is super helpful. So to join the community, email me at thedrakerroom@gmail.com and I'll try to get you a spot inside. We are increasing the price every 10 members. So if you do want to get a spot inside, email me as soon as possible and start trading the strategy. It's super effective. Like I said, I'm going to be trading the strategy to $2 million this year. So if you want to follow along with the journey, the community is the best place to do it. Thank you guys for watching.